Feeling unloved and neglected, she began an affair with the feeling unloved and neglected. She began an affair with the famous composer Richard Wagner. Feeling unloved and neglected, she began an affair with the famous composer Richard Wagner, who was a friend and colleague of von Bülow's Cosima. 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 Cosima had the feeling that Cosima had the feeling that von Bülow had unconsciously encouraged their affair when she eventually left von Bülow to live with Wagner. When she eventually left von Bülow to live with Wagner, von Bülow bombarded her with letters, blaming himself for what had happened. He was unworthy of her love. Blaming himself for what had happened, he was unworthy for her love. He would then go on. Uh, he would then go on a boat, and the boat turned in his career. Blaming himself for what had happened, he was unworthy for her love. He would then go on. He would then go on a boat. The bad turn in his career, his various illness, his suicidal tendency. Although he criticized himself, he could not help but feel guilty. And he would then go on about the bad turn in his career, his various illness, his suicidal tendency. Although he criticized himself, she could not help but feel guilty and depressed for somehow being responsible. Recounting all of his woes seemed like his subtle way of wounding her. She compared each letter to a sword twist in my heart, and they kept coming year after year until he remarried and repeat the same pattern with his new wife. This type often have a secret need to wound others, encouraging behaviors such as betrayal or criticism that will feed their depression. They will also sabotage themselves if they experience any kind of success. Feeling deep down that they don't deserve it, they will develop block in their work or take criticism to mean they should not continue with their career. Depressive types can often attract people to them because of their sensitive nature. Depressive type can often attract people to them because of their sensitive nature. They stimulate the desire to want to help them, but like one below, they will start to criticize and would the ones who wish to help the withdraw again. The push and pull causes confusion, but once under their spell, it is hard to disengage from them without feeling guilty. They have a gift for making other people feel depressed in their presence. They have a gift for making other people feel depressed in their presence. This gives them more fuel to feed off. Most of us have depressive tendency and moment. The best way to handle them is to be aware of their necessity. They are our bodies and minds' way of compelling us to slow down, to lower our energy and withdraw. Depressive cycle can serve positive purposes. Depressive cycle can serve positive purposes. The solution is to realize their usefulness and temporary quality. The depression you feel today will not be with you in a week, and you can ride it out. If possible, find ways to elevate your energy level, which will physically help lift you out of the mood. The best way to handle recurrent depression is to channel your energies into work, especially the arts. You are used to withdrawing and being alone. Use such time to tap into your unconscious. It externalizes your unusual sensitivity and your dark feeling into the work itself. Never try to lift up depressive people by reaching to them about the wonderfulness of life. Instead, it is best to go along with their gloomy opinion of the world while subtly drawing them into positive experience that can elevate their moods and energy without any direct appeal. The resentful attitude. As children, this type never felt they got enough paternal love and affection. The resentful attitude. As children, these types never felt they got enough paternal love and actually this type never felt they got. As children, these types never felt they got enough paternal love and affection. Hmm. They were always greedy for more attention. They carry this sense of dissatisfaction and disappointment with them throughout their lives. They are never quite getting the recognition they deserve. They are never quite getting the recognition they deserve. They are expert at scanning people's face for sign of possible disrespect or disdain. They are see they see everything in relation to themselves. If someone has more than they do, it's a sign of injustice, a personal affront. When they feel this lack of respect and recognition, they do not explode in anger. They are generally cautious and like to control their emotions. Instead, the hurt incubates. Incubates. The hurt incubate inside them. The sense of injustice growing stronger as they reflect on this. They do not easily forget. At some point, they will take their revenge in some strictly plotted act of sabotage or passive aggression. Strictly. Strictly, maybe I think I know that. Plotted act of sabotage or passive aggression. Because they have a continual feeling of being wronged, they tend to project this on to the world. Because they have a continuous feeling of being wrong, they tend to project this onto the world, seeing oppressors everywhere. Oppressors. In this way, they often become the leader of those who feel disaffected and oppressed. If such type gets power, they can become quite vicious and vengeful, finally able to vent their of arrogance. They are above others even if no one recognizes this. They carry their head a little too high. They frequently have a slight smirk or look of disdain. And smirk. As they get older, they are prone to pick petty battles, unable to completely contain their resentment that have accumulated over time. Their bitter attitude pushes a lot of people away. Their bitter attitude pushes a lot of people away, and so they often end up congregating with others who have this attitude. Congregating. ये क्या होता है? पता नहीं. With others who have this attitude as their form of community. With others who have this attitude as their form of community. The Roman Emperor Tiberius, 42 BC to AD 37, is perhaps the most classic example of this type. As a child, his tutor noticed something wrong with the boy. He is a pitcher molded with blood and bile. The tutor once wrote to a friend, the writer Suetonius, who knew Tiberius, described him as follows. He carried himself with his head held proudly high. He was almost always silent, never saying a word except now and again. And even then, he did so with extreme reluctance. At the same time, always making a disdainful gesture with his fingers. Emperor Augustus, his stepfather, had to continually apologize to the Senate for his disciplining manner. Full of haughtiness, Tiberius hated his mother. She never loved him enough. He never felt appreciated by Augustus or his soldier or the Roman people. When he became emperor, he slowly and methodically, when he became emperor, he slowly and method, uh, and methodically took revenge on those who he felt had slighted him, and such revenge would be cold and cruel. As he got older, he became increasingly unpopular. Yeah, Mom. As he got older, he became he became increasingly unpopular. His enemies were legion. Legion क्या होता है? Legion. Feeling the hatred of his subject, he tried to the island of Capri. Feeling the hatred of his subject, he tried to the island of Capri, where he spent the last 11 years of his reign, almost completely avoiding Rome. MD यूसुफ बुक ये पढ़ रहे हैं ये द लॉज ऑफ ह्यूमन नेचर सी हाय यूसुफ congregate means to get together. Thank you, right? Congregate means to get together with people. देख रहा है क्या? किधर लगा है? यहाँ से पढ़ रहा है। किधर टिक लगा है? अच्छा, congregate means to get together with people. Wait, I will write it down. To get together with people. People. End up congregating with others. अच्छा, get together with people. Okay, thank you. One group will exclude another group, that obvious. Glittering man. Thank you, Manoj. गरेस मुझे दीपिका पादुकोण थोड़ी थोड़ी पसंद है, मतलब फेवरेट एक्ट्रेस नहीं है मेरी, बट हाँ अच्छी लगती है थोड़ी बहुत। क्यों, आपको पसंद है क्या? Light, can you tell me the meaning of incubates and shrewdly? पसंद नहीं फिर क्यों पूछ रहे हो उसके उनके बारे में? Incubate is grow. The herd incubates, grow, and shrewdly. Other word is shrewdly. Okay. Shrewdly. Shrewdly. Yes, yes, exactly. Harshly. Okay. And oppressors. OPPRESSORS. Oppressor. Oppressors. OPPRESSORS. Yeah, exactly. Oppressor. नीचे रखने वाले. Okay. Thank you so much, Light. You are like a dictionary. Thank you. He was known to repeat to other in his last. He was known to repeat to others in his last year. After me, let fire destroy the earth. He was known to repeat to other in his last year. After me, let fire destroy the earth. At his death room exploded with celebration. The crowd voicing their feeling with the famous phrase into the tribe river with Tiberius. If you notice resentful tendency within yourself, the best antidote is to learn to let go of hurts and disappointments in life. It is better to explode into anger in the moment, if it's irrational, than to stew on slide that you have probably hallucinated or exaggerated. People are generally indifferent to your fate, not as antagonistic as you imagine. Very few of their actions are really directed to you. Stop saying everything in personal terms. Respect is something that must be earned through your achievement. Respect is something that must be earned through your achievement. Not something given to you simply for being human. You must break out of the resentful cycle by becoming more generous toward people and human nature. In dealing with such time, you must exercise supreme caution. Although they might smile and seem pleasant, they are actually scrutinizing you for any possible insult. You can recognize them by the history of past battle and sudden break with people, as well as how easily they judge other. You might try to slowly gain their trust and lower their suspicion. But be aware that longer you are around them, the more fuel you will give them for something to resent, and their response can be quite vicious. Better to avoid this type of possible. Quite vicious. What is the meaning of vicious? Vicious. The expensive positive attitude. Some 50 years ago, some 50 years ago, the expensive positive attitude. Some 50 years ago, many medical experts began to think of health in a new and revolutionary way. Instead of focusing on specific problems such as digestion or skin ailment or the condition of the heart, they decided it was much better to look at the human body as a whole. If people improve their diet and their exercise habit, this will would have a beneficial effect on all of the organ because the body is an interconnected whole. This seems obvious to us now, but such an organic way of thinking has great application to our psychological health as well. Now, more than ever, people focus on their specific problem, their depression, their lack of motivation, their social inadequacies, their boredom. But what govern all of this seemingly separate problem is our attitude, how we view the world on a daily basis. It is how we see and interpret events. Improve the overall attitude, and everything else will elevate as well. Creative power, the ability to handle stress. Creative power, the ability to handle creative power, the ability to handle stress. Creative power, the ability to handle stress. Confidence level, relationship with people. It was creative power, the ability to handle stress, confidence level, relationship with people. It was an idea promulgated in the 1890s by the great American psychologist William James, but it remained a revolution waiting to happen. A negative constricting attitude is designed to narrow down the richness of life at the cost of our creative power. Our sense of fulfillment, our social pleasure, and our vital energy without wasting another day under such conditions. Your goal is to break out, to expand what you see and what you experience. You want to open the aperture to the lens as wide as you can. Here is the roadmap. How to view the world. See yourself as an explorer with the gift of consciousness. You stand before a vast and unknown universe that we humans have just begun to investigate. Most people prefer to cling to certain ideas and principles, many of them adopted early on in life. They are secretly afraid of what is unfamiliar and uncertain. They are replace curiosity with conviction. By the time they are 30, they act as if they know everything they need to know. As an explorer, you will leave all the certainty behind you. You are in continual search of new ideas and new ways of thinking. You see no limit to where your mind can roam, and you are not concerned with suddenly appearing inconsistent or developing ideas that directly contradict what you believed a few months before. Ideas are things to play with. If you hold on to them for too long, they become something dead. You are returning. If you hold on to them for too long, they become something dead. Achha, ideas are things to play with. If you hold on to them for too long, they become something dead. You are returning to your childlike spirit and curiosity from before you had an ego, and bring right was more important than connecting to the world. You explore all forms of knowledge from all cultures and time period. You want to be challenged. By opening the mind in this way, you will unleash unrealized creative power, and you will give yourself great mental pleasure. As part of this, be open to exploring the insights that come from your own unconscious, as revealed in your dream, in moment of tiredness, and in the repressed desire that leak out in certain moments. You have nothing to be afraid of or to repress there. The unconscious is merely one more realm for you to freely explore. How to view adversity? Our life inevitably involves obstacle, frustration, pain, and separations. How we come to handle such moment in our early years play a large role in the development of our overall attitude toward life. For many people, such difficult moments inspire them to restrict what they see and experience. They go through life trying to avoid any kind of adversity, even if this means never really challenging themselves or getting much success in their careers. Instead of learning from negative experience, they want to repress them. Instead of learning from negative experiences, they want to repress them. 'Vicious' means cruel. And their response can be quite vicious. Okay, thank you. 26. Your goal is to move in the opposite direction, to embrace all obstacle as learning experience, as means to getting stronger. And your goal is to move in the opposite direction, to embrace all obstacle as learning experience, as means to getting stronger. In this way, you embrace life itself. By 1928, the actress Joan Crawford had a reasonable successful career in Hollywood, but she was feeling increasingly frustrated by the limited roles she was receiving. She saw other less talented actresses vault ahead of her. Perhaps the problem was that she was not assertive enough. She decided she needed to voice her opinion to one of the most powerful production chief on the MGM dance MGM lot, Irving Thalberg. Little did she realize that Thalberg viewed this as impudence. Impudence. 80%. Because 20% new vocabs and I don't know that vocabs. So I'm asking again and again to you. Bank impudence. What is the meaning of impudence? Thalberg viewed this as impudence. Have you studied logic or math? Studied logic or math? You are asking about this book? Means about this book's logic. Impudence is rude. Thoreau viewed this as impudence and that he was vindictive by nature. Rude. And vindictive means impudence. Impudence. Impudence means rude. Little did she realize that Thalberg viewed this as impudence and that he was vindictive by nature. This as rude, and that he was vindictive by nature. He therefore cast her in a western, knowing that that was the last thing she wanted, and that such a fate was a dead end for many an actress. Joanne had learned her lesson and decided to embrace her fate. She made herself love the genre. She became an expert writer. She read up on the Old West and became fascinated by its folklore. Folk, folk, folklore. Fascinated by its folklore. Vindictive. जल्दी बदला लेना. He was vindictive by nature. जल्दी बदला means बदला लेना थे तो. And folklore means Folklore. या किधर गया प्रेडिक्टर बदला लेना. And become fascinated by its folklore. It's if that's what it looked to get ahead, she decided to become the leading actress of Western. At the very least, this would expand her acting skill. This become her lifelong attitude toward work and the supreme challenge an actress faced in Hollywood, where careers were generally very short. Every setback was a chance to grow and develop. A chance to grow and develop. Wow, nice line. Every setback was a chance to grow and develop. In 1946, 20 years old Malcolm Little, later known as Malcolm 10, began serving an 8 to 10-year prison sentence for burglary. Prison generally has the effect of hardening the criminal and narrowing his already narrow view of the world. Instead, Malcolm decided to reassess his life. He began to spend time in the prison library and fell in love with books and learning. As he saw it now, as he saw it now, prison afforded him the best possible means of changing himself and his attitude towards life. With so much time on his hand, he could study and earn himself a degree. With so much time on his hand, he could study and earn himself a degree. He could develop the discipline he had always been missing. He could train himself to become an expert speaker. He embraced the experience without any bitterness and emerged stronger than ever. Once he left prison, he saw any difficulty, large or small, as a means to test and toughen himself. Although adversity and pain are generally beyond your control, you have the power to determine your response. Although adversity and pain are generally beyond your control, you have the power to determine your responses and fate that comes from that. How to view yourself? As we get older, we tend to place limit on how far we can go in life. Over the years, we internalize the criticism and doubt of others. By accepting what we think to be the limit of our intelligence and creative power, by accepting what we think to be the limit of our intelligence and creative power, we create a self-fulfilling dynamic. They become our limits. You do not need to be so humble and self-effacing in the world. Such humility is not a virtue but is rather a value that people promote to help key you down. People promote to help key you down. Whatever you are doing now, you are in a fact capable of much more, and by thinking that you will create a very different dynamic. In ancient time, many great leaders such as Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar felt that they were descended from gods and part divine. Such self-belief would translate into high level of confidence that others would feed off and recognize. It become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You do not need to indulge in such grandiose thought, but feeling that you are destined for something great or important will give you a degree of resilience when people oppose or resist you. You will not internalize the doubt that comes from such moment. You will have an enter enterprising spirit. You will continually try new things, even taking risks, confident in your ability to bounce back from failure and feeling destined to succeed. confident in your ability to bounce back from failure and feeling destined to succeed. When Chekhov had the epi, epiphany about the ultimate freedom he could create for himself, he had what the American psychologist Abraham Maslow called a peak experience. These are moments in which you are lifted out of the daily grind, and you sense that there is something large and more sublime in life that you have been missing. In the case of Chekhov, it was sparkled by a crisis, by loneliness, and it led to the sensation of complete acceptance of people and the world around him. These moments can come from exerting yourself past what you thought were your limits. They can come from overcoming great obstacles, climbing a mountain, taking a trip to a very different culture, or the deep bounding that comes from any form of love. You want to deliberately go in search of such moments, stimulate them if you can. They have the effect, as they did with Chekhov, of altering your attitude for good. They explain what you think about your possibilities and about life itself, and the memory is something you will always return to for supreme inspiration. In general, this way of looking at your runs counter to the tool ironic attitude that many people like to assume in the postmodern world. Never too ambitious, never too positive about things or life, always affecting a nonchalant and very false humility. Such types see the positive expensive attitude as poly, Pollyannis and simple minded, but Pollyannis, Yanis, and simple minded. But really, their cool attitude is a clever mask for their great fear of embarrassing themselves, of failing, of showing too much emotion, As with all such trends, as with all such trends in culture, the cool attitude will eventually fade away. A remnant of the early 21st century. Remnant of the early 21st century, moving in the opposite direction. You are much more progressive. How to view your energy and health. Confirm the dark side. Okay. Folklore is कहीं हुई कहानी. Oh, folklore. Okay. Folklore में कही हुई कहानी. So he present a theory that he gives an anecdote to justify the theory, but that theory doesn't hold up to scrutiny. He relies on the reader's ignorance to not test either the framing or folklore is कही हुई कहानी. Actual evidence proving the theory wrong. He also he also relies historical figure as authority in his anecdote. He also relies historical figure as authority in his anecdote like Carl Jung or Socrates or second or third hand account. It's deceptive logic. Deceptive. ऐसा लगता है फोटो करके रखा है या आज तो कहीं कहीं कहाँ कहीं कहाँ कहाँ पे है? How to view your energy and health. Although we are all mortal and subject to illness beyond our control, although we are all mortal and subject to illness beyond our control, we must recognize the role that we power plays in our health. We have all felt this to some degree or another. When we fall in love or feel excited by our work, suddenly we have more energy and recover. When we fall in love or feel excited by our work, suddenly we have more energy and recover quickly from any illness. When we are depressed or unusually stressed, we become prey to all kind of ailments. Our attitude plays an enormous role in our health, one that science has begun to explore and will examine in more depth in the coming decades. In general, you can safely push yourself beyond what you think are your physical limit by feeling excited and challenged by a project or endeavor. People People get old and prematurely age by accepting physical limit to what they can do, making it a self-fulfilling cycle. Those who age well continue to engage in physical activity. Those who age well continue to engage in physical activity only moderately adjust. You have wellspring of energy and health you have yet to tap into. How to view other people? नहीं. Those who age well to continue to engage. Those who age well continue to engage in physical activity. Only moderately adjust. Who have wellspring of energy and health you have yet to tap into. You have wellspring of energy and health you have yet to tap into. How to view you other people? How to view other people? First, you must try to get rid of the natural tendency to take what people do and say as something personally directed at you. Particularly if what they say or do is unpleasant, even when they criticize you or act against your interests, more often than not, it stems from some deep earlier pain they are relieving. You become the convenient target of frustration and resentment that have been accumulating over the years. They are projecting their own negative feeling. If you can view people this way, you will find it easier to not react and get upset to become embroiled in some petty battle. If the person is truly malicious, by not becoming emotional yourself, you will be in a better place to plot the proper counter move. You will save yourself from accumulating hurt and bitter feeling. More often, even when they criticize you or act against your interest, more often than not, it seems from some deep earlier pain they are relieving. You become the convenient target of frustration and resentment that have been accumulating over the year. They are projecting their own negative feeling. If you can view people this way, you will find it easier to not react and get upset or become in some pretty battle. If the person is truly malicious, by not becoming emotional yourself, you will be in a better place to plot the proper counter move. You will be in a better place to plot the proper counter move. You will save yourself from accumulating hurt and bitter feelings. See people as fact of nature. They come in all varieties like flower or rock. They are fools and saints and psychopaths and egomaniac and noble warriors. They are the sensitive and the insensitive. They all play a role in our social ecology. This does not mean we cannot struggle to change the harmful behavior of the people who are close to us in our sphere of influence, but we cannot re engineer human nature. Even if we somehow succeeded, the result could be a lot worse than what we have. You must accept diversity and the fact that people are what they are. You must accept diversity and the fact that people are what they are. They are different from you should not be felt as a challenge to your ego or self esteem, but as something to welcome and embrace. From this more neutral stance, you can then try to understand the people you deal with on a deeper level. As Chekhov did with his father, the more you do this, the more tolerant you will tend to become toward people and toward human nature in general. Your opinion, your open, generous spirit will make your social interaction. Your open, generous spirit will make your social interaction much smoother, and people will drawn to you. Your open, generous spirit will make your social interaction much smoother. Your and people will be drawn to you. Finally, think of the modern concept of attitude in terms of the ancient concept of the soul. We say, be a coward and don't face your enemy. In short, uh, he wants to tell us that don't deal with that type of people and save our energy. Because in our surrounding, everyone feels that some people are good by nature and some are bad according to us. If you're morally in the right, it's impractical to do that. If you're morally in the right, it's impractical to do that. It's practical because everyone's in day-to-day life face this type of people, like in train, bus, auto, or in our nearby areas. So what we do, we try to quarrel with them, or instead we just ignore them and go to our way. So that's the way to avoid them or ignore them instead of fighting. Fighting is the easiest way. That's the problem. Where you see the problem in this? I think this is the best way, na? To save our energy and our peace. Because those who are That's a problem you have to. I have to want. Face the enemy. Not always. Yeah, definitely we have to face our enemy, but not always, no? Because some people are like that, they are always gossiping about others. So what to do? And not about others, but with us, but about us also. They are gossiping all the time with the other people's, what other people's doing, what other people's did wrong. If that person is not doing wrong, but again and again some people poke them, so that particular person is not wrong, but those who are again and again talking about people's day and night and all the time, that means that person mental situation is, or mental uh, क्या बोलूं, mental condition is not good na, because he is that type of person who is like to gossip about people's, but not everyone na. So one day you thought, you listen that that person is gossiping about you, and what do? You are just getting angry and quell them and confront them. Why you are talking about me? But this just this will just raise the argument in unnecessary gossip. So it's better avoid them. It's gonna create bigger problem. Face them. It's gonna create bigger problem. If you don't, who cares? You have to face God. Yeah, that's it, no? Only we have to face the enemy when they are doing, they are just crossing the limit that we cannot tolerate anymore. Then only we have to go and confront them. Otherwise, if we tolerate them little bit day by day, that can be handled like ignoring them. But if they cross their limit, so it's better to confront them, but not in a daily basis. What? Fighting is like, no, not all the time. If you want peace, you have to fight. Okay. On a daily basis. If we want peace, then we have to fight on a daily basis. Then where is the peace? You see, whenever you fight with someone, your mental peace is just, yeah, your mental peace is somehow, you don't feel good from inside. If you win this fight, you win that fight, but from inside you are not feeling good, and you don't feel peace around you. So it's better avoid. I understand why the feminine nature says otherwise. We girls are more like tolerance nature. we have, but it's wing. Wing means, acha, acha. It's wrong. No, no, it's not wrong. All the time, daily and daily, you fight with others. Fighting is only good when other people cross their limit or cross their boundaries. When you don't able to tolerate anymore, then only you go and fight or confront them direct, face to face, instead of backbitching. But daily, that people show their nature. Why we are becoming like that, like them by quarreling daily and daily? It's better now. We keep, we just ignore them. See what is the condition of yeah, Donald Trump and Iran president. Oh, you need to meet more people. Why? For quarreling. So that I meet more people and I do quarrel with more people. That's why. Finally, think of the modern concept of attitude in terms of the ancient concept of the soul. If I think of the modern concept of attitude in terms of the ancient concept of the soul, the concept of the soul is the concept of the soul is found in almost the concept of the soul is found in almost all indigenous culture and in pre-modern civilization. It originally referred to external spiritual forces, but it's originally referred to external spiritual forces permeating the universal and contained in the individual human in the form of the soul. The soul is not the mind or the body, but rather the overall spirit we embody. Our way of experiencing the world, it is what makes a person an individual. Our way of experiencing the world, it is what makes a person an individual. And the concept of the soul was related to the earliest ideas of personality. Under this concept, a person's souls could have depth. Some people possessed a greater degree of this spiritual force, had more of a soul. Other had a personality lacking in this force and were somewhat soulless. This has great relevance to our this has great relevance to our idea of the attitude. In our modern conception of the soul, we replace this external spiritual force with life itself, or what can be described as a life force. Life is inherently complex and unpredictable. Its power far beyond anything we can ever completely comprehend or control. This life force is reflected in nature and human society by the remarkable diversity we find in both realms. This life force is reflected in nature and human society by the remarkable diversity we find in both realms. On the one side, we find people whose goal in life is to inhibit and control their life force. Inhibit. Yeah, exactly. Now you're saying right. because moral and integrity person do not fight or do not quarrel in small condition or small situations. They understand and handle the situation in a very uh, humble way. But immoral people are ready are uh, those immoral people, like they want to quarrel in a little topics, in a small topics, like they do. Can you tell me the meaning of this word inhibit? INHIBIT. On the one side, we find people whose goal in life is to inhibit and control this life force. This On the one side, we find people whose goal in life is to inhibit and control this life force. This lead them to self-destructive strategies. They have to limit their thought and remain true to ideas that have lost their relevance. They have to limit what they experience. Everything is about them, and they everything is about them, and their pity needs and personal problem. They often become obsessed with a particular goal that dominate all of their thought. They often become obsessed with a particular goal that dominate all of their thoughts, such as making money or getting attention. All of this render them dead inside as they close themselves off to the richness of life and the variety of human experience. In this way, they weed toward the soulless and internal lack of depth and flexibility, and the internal lack of depth. In this way, they weed toward the soulless. In this way, they weed toward the soulless and internal lack of depth and flexibility. Your goal must be to always move in the opposite direction. Rediscover the curiosity you once had as a child. You rediscover the curiosity you once had as a child. Everything and everyone is a source of fascination to you. You keep learning, continually expanding what you know and what you experience. With people, you feel generous and tolerant, even with your enemies and with those trapped in the soulless condition. You do not enslave yourself to bitterness or rancor. Instead of blaming others or circumstances, you see the role that your own attitude and action played in any failure. You adapt to circumstances instead of complaining about them. You accept and embrace uncertainty and the unexpected as valuable qualities of life. You accept and embrace uncertainty and the unexpected as valuable qualities of life. In this way, your soul expands to the contours of life itself and feel itself with this life force. Learn to measure the people you deal with by the depth of their soul, and if possible, associate as much as you can with those of the expensive variety. This is why the same external event or circumstances affect no two people alike. Even with perfectly similar surroundings, everyone lives in a world of his own. The world in which a man lives shapes itself chiefly by the um, way in which he looks at it, and so it proves different to different men. To one is it is barren, dull, and superficial, to another rich, interesting, and full of meaning. One hearing of the interesting event which have happened in the course of a man's experience. Many people will wish that similar thing had happened in their in their lives too, completely forgetting that they should be envious rather of the mental aptitude which lend those events the significance they possess when he described them. Arthur Schopenhauer. My chapter is complete. Chapter 8 is complete. Tomorrow I will start chapter 9. Okay. Thank you for being in life. And thanks for helping me a lot. Thank you so much, Light. For today, that's all for today. Thank you. Tata.